Oh
Showtime.
man, the red light is on, and you know what that means, brother? Here,
What does that mean, brother?
I'm about to tell you something. Did you know that the WWE Undisputed Championship, which debuted in 2002, wasn't just a title; it was more of a statement. It signified the WWE's dominance as the undisputed leader in professional wrestling, with an iconic origin, legacy, and unforgettable design. The championship holds a special place in wrestling history.
But
Mm,
here's a question for you.
okay.
Was that belt underrated? Was that design underrated? Did it receive enough recognition? What y'all think? Well, let's get to
Well,
it.
mhm. It must be Tuesday. You know what that means. Welcome, 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 welcome to the Wrestling Realm Presents Season 3 of Championship Culture. I'm Brandon the Guy, and he is none other than. Da, 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 da.
Oh, HASTHE to 3RD. That's me, baby Huey. We out here. Let's go.
Oh, he added the Baby Huey.
Yes, sir.
Can you please add that for now? I like that. Baby Huey. Mama like that when she hear that. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Oh, and look, we got to shout out our good old brother Justin, because I had to steal his line. Thanks for making it into another episode of Championship Culture. And I'm pretty sure this is your birthday, twin.
You're.
See, there you go. I was waiting for it. But here,
Yes, sir.
you know what I got to ask you.
What's that?
Do you know why this was so significant? Because it was even to the point all the way back in the first episode of Championship Culture, Season 1, Episode 1. Let's get this out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Why this belt is so important. I'm going to say to me, before we get to the rest of behind it. But do you know why that belt was so important to me?
No, tell me why it was so important, sir.
It was a belt that I got on a fluke. And if you want to hear that story, because what do we say on Championship Culture? Every belt has a story. Go back and look at Season 1, Episode 1 of Championship Culture to see what that fluke was, because trust me, you will be entertained. Unbelievable, but you will be entertained. Almost to the point that I think somebody on the internet webs tried to copy the story and try to outdo it, but we're gonna keep
Right.
that one for another time, because when we
I
talk
saw that.
about, you saw that.
I saw that.
Okay. All right. Because when you talk about the undisputed belt, and I'm talking about, let me just show the people what we're talking about. We're talking about this undisputed belt, right? This undisputed championship, the first WWE undisputed championship, which was
Yeah, we're not
designed,
we're
was
not talking about
reinforced.
honey mustard. No, we're not
Yeah,
talking about that.
we're not talking about the Roman belt. We're talking about,
Uh,
I don't want to call it the Triple H belt, because there was a couple people that held this belt, right? And it
right.
might be more on that later. But the design reinforced the idea of it being only one company, one undisputed champion. Elements of it were like symbolic, and it was a callback to what it came before, and kind of ushering us into a new era, because WWF had took over brought out WCW, ECW was gone. It was only WWF was the major player in the game, right?
Right. Right.
And it was kind of born out of necessity, because it was a time that we were transforming in WWE, because we saw the invasion. We saw that, the acquisition of WCW, and a lot of wrestlers had either migrated over or went their own separate way, right?
Right.
And WWE had its own WWE, WWF championship at the time, and we also had a world champion, right? But
Absolutely.
what happened in 2001, which was a good year? Brother, do you remember what happened in 2001?
I'm gonna let you tell it because it involves your favorite wrestler.
See, I should have got
So
props, because I should have had both belts
besides
on my shoulder.
besides CM Punk, that's your second favorite wrestler. But go ahead.
Right. Into you. So in late 2001, the decision was made to unify the WWE Big Eagle and the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, right? And it was at Vengeance in December. It was actually December 9th, 2001. Chris Jericho made history. Yes, Chris Jericho. Pre AEW run, Chris Jericho, you know, for all us Jerichoholics. He made history by defeating The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night and became the first ever undisputed champion, right? And
Yep.
this marked the beginning. No matter how good or how bad the reign was, it was there, right?
Yes.
But it was in 2002, after WrestleMania, this beauty was brought forth, right? This beauty right
Hmm.
here. Now, this we'll get into what version this is, but brother here,
Yep.
let's talk about the design of this belt because I know that you've got a newfound appreciation for this belt over some time. Tell the people about this belt. Where should I
It's a
start?
beauty.
That's okay.
All right, but let's break
You
it
know,
down real quick.
sometimes they got to be
Go ahead.
gone for us to appreciate it, right?
That is
But
true. That is true. That is true.
let's break
Well,
this.
I'm gonna start off with the original. The original, the version one of it, had the WWF logo. Of course, at that time they were still under the moniker of WWF, the World Wrestling Federation.
Hmm.
Plus, it was a smaller belt. The main plate was much smaller, and a lot of
Hmm.
wrestlers didn't like that right off top. So then we moved on to version two when guys like was the brother Hogan. Hogan was the first one that had the
He's
version two,
credited as
right?
being the first to have
He's
the
credited,
WWE.
but he
Yeah.
lies a lot, so we don't know.
If you notice,
But
my
yeah,
belt has some cracking on it because this is our original from Fig Zig. And they didn't make good leather back then or leather that could
they
hold
didn't.
up through
Yeah,
the test of time. So if you see cracks, don't come after me. I just want you to look at the plates, right?
he
So we
said,
got
just look
World
at the
Wrestling
plates.
Entertainment. But tell them about the plates, brother, here, because there's something significant about when version 2 came.
Well, when version two came, it was made a little bit bigger to suit the bigger wrestlers, and then a guy like Brock Lesnar had it. That's when they introduced, well, they basically put what, six plates on there, as opposed to the four plates where they go, the five plates where they goes to a little bit later on, and that's including the property plate. So the
Correct.
property plate makes the six plates
What's
right
this?
now, including the main plate. Right.
And we had seen
Okay.
property plates on like the Intercontinental, the European. It became like a staple of some WWE belts to have a property plate, or like how
Yeah.
the Wing Eagle had the WWF Championship champion right here on the and it's called the six plate because most of them were five plate designs, and this added on one side the property plate. Sorry, brother Hugh, go ahead. You on a roll?
What else did I say? Let me see. Let me see. The was on version two.
Hmm.
We got the eagle. We have the black. If you go to the main plate,
Okay, we're on the main plate.
if you notice behind the globe and also behind the eagle, you have the black backing. Version one of this title did not have the black border around the edges, the edge of the main plate. It was just strictly gold, straight gold. Um, that's one main difference between version one, version two, and the later versions. And also, if you go back to the first side plate, you have the lion to the first side plate. Yeah, the lion is kind of hard to tell because of the lighting, but the lion is trimmed in black. Later versions have that have the lion just straight gold.
And
That's
what do
about it.
people
That's a
know?
quick rundown, real quick. But yeah, what you say?
What do people often mistake the Lions for? Like, because we see Lions keep coming back in certain championships. We saw it in the World Heavyweight Championship now. They got the three lions on it. And then
Yeah,
right here is the McMahon family crest. So
I was
that's
about
what
to say
that,
the crest was on it too.
yeah, the
Yeah.
crest was definitely on there. Um, and of course, on any championship, you got to have an eagle. And the thing I
Hmm.
loved about this one, it was at the top and his wingspan was open. Now we've seen it, the wingspan open on a wing eagle. We've seen it on a big eagle, but now it's perched upon the top of the globe and it's spread out like it's just landing. Not that it's taking off, but it's right here at the top. And it was something
Question
else
for
unique about. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
question for you. Which eagle do you prefer?
I
Out of those three,
prefer
the big eagle, winged eagle, and this one, which eagle do you prefer?
I prefer this one because I feel like it ties the belt more together. Because the other one, it was just behind the globe for the wing. I mean, I'm sorry, the big eagle. The wing eagle had it up by his face. So I feel like
Okay.
this one ties because when you look at it, the banner right under it is World Wrestling Entertainment. on the world. Unlike before, it was under the bottom, but now it's kind of like a stamp to say, the only player in the game really, and then the champion at the bottom, which is still remnants of the Big Eagle
Yeah,
because it had champion across the bottom. It's just now in a banner type of motif in the two stones on both ends. But I feel like the
that eagle
eagle
comes
ties so
that yeah, that eagle comes across like the presentation of it makes it look like it's a little bit more powerful. It gives off a
mhm.
powerful presence as opposed to the other two. But
And if
yeah,
you notice how he's
definitely
perched above it, I want to say like he just landed like I made it. Like I made it
right,
to the top of the world. Unlike the other one, like it's taking flight or saying, "Hey, I own the world." No, this is I made it to the top of it. So that was
right,
my
right, right,
whole thing
right.
about it. Still got the globe in the middle, and now gone is the blue color. It's black. It's all black and
I know you like
gold.
that. You stay with
Um,
the blacked out globes, black or red.
hey, I like red. I like red stones. Uh,
Hey, it is what it is.
I hate you. Um, and we got a nameplate on this belt. And remember, nameplates were kind of becoming a thing, but we got a
Hmm.
nameplate on this belt. And the good thing about it, the nameplate, of course, was removable, and you could have like, of course, I have no names on it, but the nameplate was right under the champion, so you could clearly see who the champion was. Um,
Did you talk about the stars?
when you get to the shooting stars, because that was also
Okay.
another addition to it, and if
Hmm.
that brother he wasn't going to be so modest, he got shooting stars on his belt, and that was the inspiration. But we ain't gonna talk about that because he don't like bringing his belt out because it has it. But now you
I
see
mean,
shooting stars on the
she's
side.
over there in bed right now.
So if you look on the sides of the belt, you see the shooting stars. That's like kind of when I look at this, and this might be the wrong way to say it, but I feel like you know how when you go to the shows and the experience when they had the pyros going off, and it was like a
Yeah.
big deal when the champion wins and the celebration. It feels like it's coming from where the champion banner is, and it's coming out from each part. So I really thought that the stars were such a unique thing, and even in
Celebration.
later versions, yes, a celebration. Even in later versions, this part is more gold to make this more prominent. Like when he said about under the wings was gold because the wings, I mean, the eagle was more prominent on some of these versions, which still to me makes this belt such an underrated design because we went from a circular shape to down a more oval, but when people say
Hmm.
oval, they probably think this way, but it was more oval shape, and I don't know if it
Yeah.
it felt like it fit the wrestlers better because oval shape sometimes would look kind of crazy. Imagine The Rock having it over his shoulder, perfect, but Kurt Angle wearing it and it's under his pecs. Triple H wearing it, it looks like it always looked weird, but now it's kind of like a more uniform look on every wrestler that they look like they were the champion. And I know a lot of people don't like the Intercontinental title until it got blue on it, but I feel like in a couple of years we'll be talking about the Intercontinental title like we're talking about this underrated design because everything about this just screamed a championship. Even on this side plate, the pattern behind the WWE logo and the two stones just made it stand
Hmm.
out. So,
If you look at the tell them about the tooling.
so the tooling on this version is very unique because this is the figurine version. And the figurine, they were the manufacturer of WWE belts for a long period of time. And this one, unlike the other versions, because even if you buy the elite version from WWE Shop right now, the tooling is totally different. One unique thing about this tooling, it says WWE and champion all the way across it on each part. Sorry, trying to get a good shot of it for you. But as you can see, it actually has the
There you
logo
go.
and
There
it
you
says
go.
champion. Now, forgive me, of course, this belt is worn because it is a older belt. It's still on the original leather. I don't think I'll ever change the leather, but all across it, it says WWE Champion. Snapbox is very plain, signed by none other than Kurt Angle. Um, nothing in the snapbox, but on different versions, some were 2x5 on one side and some were 2x8, depending on which wrestler was holding it. Because, of course, somebody bigger like the Big Show or Brock Lesnar would need longer strap, but then Eddie Guerrero could do a smaller one. And on each
Right.
one, this floor pattern right before you hit the snap box. It's kind of fading because this leather it's got some age to it, but the unique thing about it is it says WWE champion in the tooling around it.
Cool, cool, cool. Like you got,
And
you said that's V2, right?
yes, so it's arguably some people will say this is V2. A lot of times when you look at V2, it has the black border around it, of course. It has thicker plates, but this V2 is only, if I had to guess, about 2 to 3 millimeters thick. Most of the V2s are 4 millimeter thick.
4 millimeters. Yeah.
But this was from Fig Inks. So a lot of times when WE stopped commissioning Fig Inks and they started getting their own makers, they changed certain things slightly. Of course, the leather has gotten better. Some people complain about the leather being stiffer, but the leather seems like it holds up more. One major thing I will say about the current championships when you get them, be careful because it's a lot of time plastic and not paint. And when I say that, like all of these spots where it's black, sometimes they'll use black plastic. This is actual paint. So you ain't got to worry about nothing popping off. Sometimes you'll see people belt these things pop out where the paint would be because they're actually plastic on certain things like the swoosh for the network logo was plastic. Parts of the name of the WWE UK Championship is plastic. It will pop out. I don't know if it's cheaper to manufacture that way, but it's a little bit unique and different about that.
And they had a different they that at one point, if you bring it back up, you can see the four corners. You can actually see the four corners of the belt. Yeah, if you bring it closer. We mentioned the black border. That's like a glossy paint. On later versions, they painted it with a matte black, which didn't allow that much glare when the light hits it. So it presented it came across better on TV. Then also, if you look at the actual corner, later versions have a more defined etching to it.
A deeper tooler. Hey, look at that
Yeah,
star. See how the stars even they even changed. It's a little deeper in how it was phrased. There's more black on this one. It's less black on that one because they went a little deeper with the edging.
right, right, right. Now we mentioned the minor change of the eagle.
Hmm.
If you notice, well, we'll go back to it, but Brandon's championship, it has a little bit more black behind the eagle and under the eagle's wings. This was one that was this was the later version, so it was a V4, I believe.
Yes.
Eddie Guerrero, JBLs, yeah, these are the guys, Kurt Angle, these are the guys that held this title, but they have more gold under the actual eagle as opposed to the black backing. If you want to put it back
Hmm.
up real quick, I don't know if you
Yep.
can see it. See, there's a
So
little
right
bit
under,
more
see how
black
the,
in the background. Yeah,
and then you can see how the stars have more black, but right under his wings. And later versions they were made to be gold, and it's kind of like a gold texture instead of being gold. I mean black painted here.
yeah.
Some people will replace the stones and put um, different types. I don't think it's anything wrong with the stones because it's only a few on the belt, and they're strategically placed, of course, in multiple places. So it's always interesting to see
And we talked about the lion a little bit later or earlier too. Here's a closer look to that's the gold lion.
with no black
This
in
one
it,
is with no black in it, black trimming whatsoever.
right? And the thing is, like he's
Yeah,
holding them in man crest because you know what, like certain animals have certain things to it, and it's crazy because the prototype said the lion and enjoyed um, amongst the brothers fair game. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, we're not
well,
going to
I
talk
know
about
you have.
that.
Oh my God.
Long live the big eagle.
See, now I know you had a V2 version, but what version do you really prefer? Do you prefer the gold or do you prefer with the black backing,
I prefer the
the
black
black trimming?
backing, but I think a thicker plate and more of a curve fits this belt better. Because even on the signature series like the Eddie Guerrero, the Brock Lesnar ones, they
Yeah.
had that version with the thicker plates. So this is a thinner
What was it?
plate.
The 6 millimeter, right?
Yeah. So it's a thinner plate, but the fact I think a thicker plate would do this justice.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you can see, it's actually pretty thin, but this is on par with what the championships were at that time. If my Intercontinental title wasn't in the case, I would show you it's about the same thickness. even the European title. This was about the standard form. And even when you look at the sides, you can see it's not really painted gold here. It's only on the edges. On the other one, it's kind of like a stacked portion of it, like the newer versions than the WWE, like Hollywood's version. His actually is like stacked. This black is one separate piece, and this is stacked on top of it. Or how they did it, it makes it seem like it's stacked. So it's actually a more evolved type of belt. And the thing that I love about those versions, you can clearly see the inspiration. Like when we went from Wing Eagle to Big Eagle to Undisputed, they kept some of the same things and they kept the tradition going, like the champion banner, the eagle, the lions, everything about it. You could see that they kept evolving, even to the point. Just on the side plate, they had just the WWF logo, very simple to the point. No question what it was. You know, this was the WWE champion.
Right, right, right. Question for four sides of the ring.
Is that a black outline on the plate,
It's on the plate,
or
I believe.
it's on the plate? So if you look, so like if you look closely, so that's what I'm trying to separate. So here's the,
Yeah.
and then there's an outline on it. So it looks like this is one whole piece, and they just painted where it wasn't engraved or etched in. So if you look at the corner, you can clearly see where the belt begins and where the, it's kind of like just an outline for it. It's on every portion of the belt, so it's just an extra outline. So I'll say it again, forgive the strap, but on every single one, you can see it's a true outline on there. So,
Oh,
oh,
the
the
ring.
days when the titles look like prizes and not big advertisement. I want to address that because that's part of the reason I believe that this is underrated. When we keep having this argument about Big Eagle versus Wing Eagle, right? Big Gold versus whatever, right? 10 pounds
Right.
ago, they felt like they were the championships and not walking advertisements. And that's why I kind of, the network logo, I feel like when we talk about belts in the lineage of the WWE Championship, we always go back to those belts because they feel like they're champions. And not
Right.
just, for that era, that was what we needed. That was smart, getting WWE as a brand ambassador. But look at the world title compared to the Undisputed title now. Something about Rhea Ripley's world title just looks so much more important than the women's championship. Is it because it's all white, or is it because the person holding it? When you look at them, it just feels like if I had to choose, I want that one, not the WWE screaming at me, but I want that belt. So I really think that this was the time, and this is probably the last before the world title. This was probably one of the best designs that they had, and they
Yes, it
took a
was. Yeah.
risk. And it wasn't a circle. Most of the belts were based on a circle. This had a different shape to it, different uniqueness, different likeness, and it was a good looking belt. And now that it's gone, I feel like people keep going back to it. You can talk about the spinner being a good design. The spinner was perfect for what it was,
Right.
but you can't deny on the spinner. Look how the eagle is. It's at the very top, right?
Yep.
Where's the champion banner? At the bottom of it, right?
Hmm.
What's on the side? The WWE logos on the outermost plate, and of course they put Raw, SmackDown, or WWE Champion on these closest to it. But at the end of the day, it still was like a spiritual successor to it, and we kept elements going. We lost a lot of those elements when we went to the network belt. So I hope that answered the question. I hope I didn't go off in left field because that takes us to, I think, something that we need to talk about being underrated, right?
Hmm.
From 2002 to 2005, this was our championship, right?
But first, do you feel like that was too short of a lifespan?
Yes,
I mean, I know it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Absolutely, because it came when the company went in direction to have one champion, and then it
Hmm.
became the WWE Championship when
Right.
the big goal came. But for the spinner to take over and keep being over, it kind of felt like, well, we had a good title. We didn't get enough time for this version. If Cena never blew up as big as he did, we could have got. That's what I was hoping because remember, we got this belt while he was champion. As soon as he lost it,
Right.
we reverted back to it. That's what I was
Right.
kind of
Right.
hoping. But I guess when you talk about dollars and cents, it was selling. It was worth it. But I just feel like in comparison, when you look at the two, the spinner grew on us, but the spinner kind of feel like it ran its course because it was a spinning belt. That's why I'm glad when they stopped it from spinning. But that
Yeah.
we kind of just accepted it that that's our WWE Championship, and that's why when the 2014 network logo came, it was like, oh, thank you, something different because we've had that spinner for so long. So absolutely, I think it was here too. It was gone too soon. It was definitely underrated, as we say over here in championship culture. And do I want to see a revive? No, it has a perfect place in history. Um, the time to revive it would have been when Cena lost it. This was the belt that came back the
Okay.
first time
Okay.
he lost it.
Got another
What a
comment. Oh,
what
I
a
thought you went to another comment.
oh no, I was just saying because apparently never noticed the details into the belt till now. I guarantee you, when you look at this belt, you're gonna start to see some hidden things about it. And we didn't get enough of it because one point we can talk about it being hot shot in between people. We can talk about who held it, but it was a rebuilding time for WWE. Remember, they had just absorbed WCW and trying to figure out what does being the only player in the game look like. Yes, TNA was around, but major wrestling promotion, what does that
Yeah.
look like? And they were trying to figure it out. So they were doing some calculated risks and some things that all play out. Maybe, maybe not. But that goes to show, and that makes you think. If only from 2002 to 2005, and people are still commenting about it, people are still getting the belt made, people are still seeking it out. That tells you something about this championship. Definitely underrated. Uh-oh.
He's
I
in
was
it. He's
disappointed
here.
when the belt they. Well,
Oh
so this
boy.
might make the notes. That's not fair because we know he doesn't like change. Realness doesn't like change. So he can't
Okay.
really say that. And probably because the blue was gone, it was a black and gold belt, and he probably felt like, why change something that was fine? Um, I can understand why he would be disappointed, but I was disappointed in the reveal of it. If you remember that Monday Night Raw, Ric Flair just came walking down with the belt in his hand. It
He
wasn't
said,
a
"Hey,
reveal.
here,
It
take
was
it."
yeah, here it is. Here's the belt. Oh, and then Undertaker came out. You think you're just gonna give a belt? What? He's the champion. What are you talking about? Taker, go sit down. Like, get out the way. But we saw at a time of what does WWE look like at that time. And remember, we went from Jericho being undisputed, Triple H holding this version, Hogan, Undertaker, Rock. Was it Rock after Rock?
Oh yeah, it was
Brock.
Rock after. Yeah,
Yeah, Rock, Brock. Then we was that whole Kurt Angle, Big Show. Everybody kept changing the belts
Tobacco. Yeah,
around.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
to Eddie, to JBL, to Cena, right?
Hmm.
Did I miss anybody? Yeah, that's about it. And that was
That's it. You got
a
him.
brief period of time. And even when the big gold came back, it had this and the big gold to compete with. Then we had the spinner and the big gold to compete with. Um, he has a ruthless aggression. Oh, you gotta say that. I don't know if you really saw that. He is a ruthless aggression era hater. That
Oh.
oh, well, he didn't like the
Uh
tag
oh.
team belts at this time either. We're gonna throw that out there.
That's gonna be some
But
trouble.
here at Championship Culture, we like to dive into these conversations about being underrated. We like to talk about who wore it better. We even talk
Hmm.
about gone too soon, right?
Hmm.
Oh, oh, wait a minute. We gotta address that. It it was definitely too small, and I think that's why they made it bigger. And when they made it bigger, it because it looked like a little toy on Triple H's
It
waist.
did. It did.
It
It
looked
did.
like it was a how you get the action figure. You're like, oh, he had the Intercontinental. He looked like he had a black Intercontinental title around his waist.
Right.
So I definitely will agree with that. Um, there was nothing wrong with those tag belts. You stop it, realness. But like I was saying, we like to debut some things here, right?
Hmm.
And we like to have these conversations where we talk about underrated championship. We talk about does the strap matter, right? Guard too soon. But now we want to put it into the people's head. And you know the question we should ask them?
What's that question?
Who wore it better? Hmm. So we want you to pay attention to the social media this week because we're going to be posing some questions. And one of the main questions is who wore it better? And your opinion from 2002 to 2005 when this belt was the de facto undisputed or the WWE Championship? Who do you think wore better? It's gonna be some questions attached to it. But realness, I'm
But
sorry,
first
but
we gotta
realness
answer
is
this question first.
okay.
We
Go ahead.
gotta is it an underrated title design? Because we all
Absolutely.
whenever we talk about titles and pre prestigiousness of a title and the look of the title, we always go to what? The top three, right? Big
Hmm.
Gold, Winged Eagle, and probably the Big Eagle or the 10 pounds of gold, something like that, right?
Hmm.
Why isn't this belt ever mentioned? Why is this belt forgotten?
So we're gonna pose that question to everybody, but I'm gonna answer it for you. It's forgotten because not only the time frame, but who was wearing it. You had, and let's just call them what they are. You had a future Hall of Famer, Triple H, right? You
Hmm.
had icon of Triple H. I'm sorry, Hogan, icon of um, Undertaker, right? But then you had we're giving it to a new face in Brock Lesnar, and he's
Hmm.
beating arguably, one of the biggest stars from the Attitude Era, The Rock. The Rock is putting them over, right? And when The Rock put him over, that's when we saw, oh, we need the world title. Was it because it wasn't strong enough, or was it because we just wanted two champions? We'll never know because we don't have the inside scoop. So it kind of
Right.
devalued it because it was on the right trend, right? But then when it
Hmm.
had to compete with this and the big gold is synonymous with a champion, the top prize, and it often depended on who was wearing it, right? So it's gotten to the fact it kind of took a back seat. No matter how good Kurt Angle was, no matter how good the Big Show was inserted into the mix, no matter how many shooting star, 5-star frogs, what was it, shooting star press that Brock Lesnar did, it always felt like it was second fiddle. We only remember this for Eddie because we knew what Eddie could do from WCW. We
The
saw what he
moment.
was doing in
Yep.
WWE. You know what I mean? And it was like that moment will always live rent free in all our heads because Eddie was our addict. He was the one that we wanted to win. We got
Yep.
behind him. So with only that type of moment, really, it's like in a blip of history, the Wing Eagle is going to be attached to. I'm sorry, the Big Eagle is going to be attached to Stone Cold Steve Austin in that era. It's going to be attached to it. That era gives you so many defining moments. The Wing Eagle, the same thing. The Big
Yeah.
Gold is attached to all of wrestling at this point, but the Undisputed Championship is underrated because it didn't have a chance to do that. The spinner took over its time frame that it should have been thriving. We should have went from this to a network logo. We should have went from this to maybe, kind of like what they're doing now with the signature series, a different
Hmm.
version of it, added something to it, just something different for each wrestler. But we went from this to the spinner, and this became an afterthought.
And the gimmick title got caught fire.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um,
Hey.
and Realness says the lineage attached to the belt was during the era where many fans walked away from pro wrestling. And that's true because WCW hurt their feelings.
Yep.
WWE was, it just was hot. And then it was like, oh, it kind of cooled off. So, yeah, and I was in wrestling coma at points after this. I was in wrestling coma in between it, but a lot of people won't remember this belt. They'll see it as a, oh, that's a nice championship. Oh, they'll glamour at it and see it did its job. It represented. But because it's not attached to history like everything else would be, that's probably why it's truly underrated. What say
Most
you, brother?
definitely.
Because that
Yeah.
was a lot. Sorry.
Nah, bro, you hit it right on you know, what I mean, on point. To be honest,
Hmm.
I think it's first of all, it was the last of its kind. It was the last of an era as far as like prestigious looking belts in general. So I definitely say as far as design wise, with that championship feel, that in their feel of importance, it was the last of his lifespan. It was it was gone too soon, to be honest. But honestly, you can't really say that was gone too soon because then you have the popularity, like Brother Dwayne said, the popularity of the spinner belt. I wish we could have had it a little bit longer because honestly, I don't remember it too much because at that time I was in a wrestling coma. I came in towards the end when I saw guys like Eddie Guerrero, well, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, and JBL carry it, and they was balling out for it. So I think it is underrated design overall. If you look at it, now we got the with just a lazy design. To be honest, just throw the
And
network logo on there. I'm not. I
and
don't really feel those type of belts at all. Like it's lazy to me compared to what we're used to. You
mhm.
look at something like the big gold, and you look at something like the big eagle, and the 10 pounds of gold. Like they just have that feel about them, the championship feel about them. And now we have like, all right, the network logo. Okay,
Right,
cool.
because this was same thing. It went away from the oval design, and it's more elongated design to look better either on your shoulder or on
Right,
your around your waist. When Triple
right.
H wore it, it looked like it was important. John Cena had it over his shoulder; it looked like it was important. Same thing can be said about this. So you can tell they still kept some of the same thought pattern behind it, but I really think because this belt lasted for so long, it made us forget about this. And this one really didn't have a chance. It didn't have a chance. Once this debuted and it's flashy, it was blinged out. This was a different time frame. Like we say in Wrestling Room Now podcast, going back in time. You gotta remember the era that we were in. This was cool. This was unique. This was different. This was classic.
Hmm.
Oh, so if you're gonna take classic over uniqueness, the uniqueness is always gonna win because of who's attached to it. This is the John Cena belt. Who is this belt really
Straight up.
attached to?
John Cena and CM Punk. That's it.
Hmm. And of course,
That's it.
you can say other people, but oh, buddy, that was a loaded question, brother. Here, but I'm gonna ask you a question. What if we went from the Big Eagle to the Spinner? Would that
What
have been
if we
too
went?
much? Would that have been too much of a dramatic shift?
I mean, you got to think about a lot of things at that point in time too. You didn't have a guy like a John Cena that could help you transition into that particular type of belt. You see what I'm saying? John Cena wasn't the John Cena that we knew that we know of right now. You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to answer that question. I would
Hmm.
say, yeah, it's kind of tough because I mean, so many things can happen during that time period. It maybe because what Big Eagle to nah man, I don't that spinner might have been too much of a dramatic change at that point in time, to be honest. So if
And the reason
anything,
I
I
said
would
it,
rather
this
for
was
you to just keep it. You might as well just kept the Big Eagle until you're ready to change it later on.
hmm because I
But
think if you our Big Eagle, I think our championship would look more like this if it would have went straight
yeah,
from Big Eagle to um what you call it instead of having the pit stop of the Undisputed slash WWE Championship. So Justin brings up a good point, and this is what I want you to address this here. He said the network titles are too clean looking. Not the problem, but it gives us some creativity thought behind it, just like the pay per view stages we got now. Do you think they're too clean? Or is it too safe? I guess.
no, I don't. For its purpose, no. It it is there for a purpose to market. It's for marketing, right? And at
Mm-hmm.
that point in time, WWE was trying to take themselves to a different level, and you see where they are now, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is a worldwide entity. They're basically taking over everything now, right? Then all of sports and entertainment. They have social media. Kai Cenat. Why? Or Sanat. Why was he on the show? You see what I'm saying? Why is Speed showing up at the Royal Rumble? So it's working, right? Because you're throwing that logo right in their face. So everybody knows about this, and now you're throwing in these social media guys, these YouTubers, and other celebrities. So it all makes sense. But yeah. I mean, they're not too clean looking at all. It serves its purpose. I'm I guess I'm dating myself right now, but I'm just more of a classic type of guy. That's what I grew up on. The belts that actually look like, oh, you actually felt like you wanted those belts. You felt
And that's
very important when you had those belts. To me, it's like, all right, cool. All right. That look, I'm a very creative guy. So when it comes to designs like that in the big gold, I'm like, all right, I'm invested in it. But then that just comes across as lazy to me because I'm a very creative guy. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I,
And I think that
it's
one thing to remember when we talk about everybody has a story, belts have their moment in history, and we got to go back to those moments because when you look at things like, let's talk about the TNA title, right? And I know we're going to go off topic, and we're going to wrap this up real quick.
yeah,
When TNA was at, when Sting, go back to when Sting was champion, right? And he debuted the TNA Wing Eagle. Everybody remember that belt? Realness is
yeah,
favorite. Everybody loved it because it was a
the big boy.
eye-catching touch of nostalgia. It was, oh my God, this is what we think a championship should look like. And the Eagle and the TNA, everything about it just screamed champion, right? And there was enough things that differentiated between that and every other belt on the Ross. I mean, on their what you call it at the time. Then we upgraded, and then they said, "Oh, it got bigger. It's saying TNA. It's stacked. It's saying heavyweight champion. Still has some patterns behind it. With the sunburst pattern behind it, everything on it. And then when Impact went for more clean looking, it tried to balance the clean look with the design aspect, but it lost some of its uff. And now, fast forward, when we get the new one, it went back to saying, "Hey, we got to make it and look like and feel like a champion." So I think that's where we're in that holding phase while we got the world title the way we did to contrast the clean look, because we had the clean look network logo. And if you look at all the sports team belts, they all look clean, but they all scream. This is a WWE championship for this team. This is a
Right,
championship belt that WWE has for this team, and it's working.
right,
So now
right.
they figured out how to do the best of both worlds, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I feel like we're gonna get something different with this network logo, but mark my word, I think something is coming. But
So hold on. So what do you mean? You think we're gonna get something different?
I'm gonna say this, and I want you to keep y'all on it. There's a reason that this wing eagle keeps being around. There's a
Hmm.
reason that the Wing Eagle is being put on a ladder match, and they hung both belts. Every
Hmm.
time we have both belts hung, one or two things happen: the person carries both, or we get a new title. Right?
Hmm.
Only one time in modern history I can remember both belts being up there because that was for the undisputed of that championship, like the Intercontinental title, the TNT title. You know what I mean? It was for like when Sami Zayn was going to be undisputed because he said, "I never lost this belt." Different type of story. Now you have a guy to say, "I should have won that title because it was on the line. So I'm going to hold this title, but you're just the WWE champion."
Now you really think that's gonna happen, especially when you have an identical title for the women. So basically, what you're saying is you just want more new belts. That's all you want.
No, no.
You're the belt guy. You just want more belts. That's what you want.
I'm saying it's a reason that belt is still around.
Okay.
And with that being said, what are your thoughts on the Undisputed Championship? Do you think it deserves its recognition in history? Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Where do you
These are
rate it
questions.
amongst the top designs? Where
Ooh.
is it on the rating
Is
scale?
it in your top five? Is it in your top 10? Is it even in your top anything? All these questions we're going to try to answer. But
All
the
these
one question we
questions.
want you to pay attention to social media because we're going to ask you who wore it better, right? Because we want to
Hmm.
know. But brother Hugh, what else you got to say
Hmm.
about this belt?
I have nothing else to say about this belt. I just want to tell them where they can find me.
Okay, well tell them where they can
I'm
find
just letting them
you,
know.
sir. Let them know. Let them know. Let them know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at on all social media platforms at HASTAT to 3RD. That's HASTAT to the 3RD. And you can find that guy, Brandon the Guy, at Custom Guy 913, all social media platforms. And you can find us as a collective at Championship Culture underscore in IG. Brother Brandon,
Yes,
take us
sir.
home.
Make sure you comment your thoughts and answer the questions, even post questions. Because don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a chance when we go live. Like he said, follow us on all social media platforms. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for the next episode of Championship Culture. And remember, until next time, keep your eye on the gold. And remember, everybody has a story. I can't wait to hear yours.
Drink it in, man.
Go over to Instagram and follow us at Championship Culture _ And don't forget, check out youtube.com/TheWrestlingRoom. Look for the playlist for Championship Culture. And remember, every belt has a story. You're reading it.